Welcome, everyone. Today is January. We are our first meeting of the year. My name is Juan Soto. I'm the president and founder of AccessUserGroups.org, and I also head up this group, Access with SQL Server. And tonight we got a really special presentation for you guys. I hope you're going to love it. It's a new tool that we've been working now for several months that we are releasing to beta worldwide tonight, and you guys get to preview before anyone else, so appreciate you guys joining us. With me tonight, I have two very special guests. The first one is Aaron Kogan from Hawaii, who was the original author of the code that you'll be seeing tonight. He was kind enough to share with Ben Sacherich, who in turn was kind enough to help us web convert it. And Aaron, he did this code so that we can he provided the code, and basically what the code does is it converts Access SQL to TSQL. Aaron, welcome.
Thanks, Juan. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Now, you designed this code originally as an Access add-in. I saw that. I thought it was first-rate work. How long ago did you do that? How many years you've been having that code already?
Good question. I'm going to say about 3 years, maybe 4 years. I don't know. Ben might remember when we started working on it. He kind of jumped in shortly after I had started on it. I could go back and look. But yeah, about 3 or 4 years.
Okay, great. Well, we appreciate you donating the code so that we can web enable it. So now it's available worldwide, and everyone can use it to for their own efforts when they come to convert Access SQL to TSQL. Ben, welcome. You are our presenter tonight. Wanted to say thank you so much for being a friend and helping test this code, and your enthusiasm and your efforts have led us to today, and I really appreciate that.
I'm happy to see it turn into something that other people can use.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Ben. What do you do?
I'm an Access developer. I work for an engineering company. I write software applications for them. And I just recently converted a long-time application over from using Access as a backend to using SQL Server. So I use this tool a lot. I'm familiar with a lot of the quirks of moving queries from Jet SQL to T-SQL. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's good enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I think you're a little modest because I know you head up a team of Access developers, which is near and dear to my heart, knowing how Access is being used so much at your firm. So we're glad to have you tonight. Why don't you and share your screen and get us started here, and I'll just join in with comments here and there.
Okay. I will have to warn everyone that this is still a beta product, and something, yesterday we really got hung up on something, and we found out that it was because my rights on the server were different than someone else's and my saves weren't taking. It was a weird situation to be in. I just now kind of noticed another quirk that I'm not sure if is related to that, but I'll share my screen and we can begin.
Sure. And I'm sure you have some queries that we can run through through the tool, right? So they can see the before and after.
Right.
And while Ben's getting ready, I just want to mention to everyone, you will find a lot of tools on the web to convert, for example, MySQL to T-SQL, or you come from another language to T-SQL, from standard SQL to other languages, but you won't find ever a tool that will convert Access SQL to T-SQL. What we mean by Access SQL is when you create a query in Access and you draw your little tables and relationships, you can view that in SQL code, and that SQL code is unique for Access. One unique way, for example, when you add together strings, you use the ampersand signal. Well, ampersand symbol. Well, in T-SQL, you don't use ampersand, you use the plus sign. So this tool is going to easily convert that over. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so as you can see here, it converted the quotes and the pluses. Yeah. And it formatted it too.
Yeah, so what happens is you paste your Access query on the left-hand side, you click on the red convert button at the top, and on the left-hand side, you get with the T-SQL. Now, once it's in T-SQL, now you can take it as a SQL Server. You can use it in your VBA code to run it against your SQL Server database. just an easy way to do this. And I can't tell you how many hours this is going to save me in development time, especially when we work so much with Access and T-SQL at my firm. It's just hours on end that will save us. So we really thank you guys for sharing this code with us.
So you can plug in more complicated queries into it. One of the features I added today was I noticed that you get a smart quotes. I don't know if you guys know smart quotes, but they're those curly quotes. And you get those a lot of times when you copy from a blog. And I was able to modify this to eliminate the smart quotes. Let's get this back here. There we go. So you can see here it converted them to, well, straight quotes and then single quotes.
So one of the things that we want to mention is there is an admin panel that's not available to the public, which if we get time, we'll demo that to you guys. But what Ben has done and what Aaron started and Ben's continued is we have a series of rules in the code on the server from an admin point of view that allows Ben to do these kind of quirks and be able to translate, right? When you see this in the code and use that. And that's all transparent to the users. When you guys go use this on the website, you'll be able to see it. Just plug in your query and it'll convert it in the background. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, you want me to show that?
Well, not yet. Let's go ahead and go through some complex queries first. Let's do some more complex stuff, because I know you got some more complex stuff in the background there.
Yeah, let me pull those up.
Now, to be honest, if you have a very simple access query, it's going to convert. You can probably use a very simple access query without much conversion into SQL, right? But, for example, what this is really advantageous when you have a non-select query, such as an update query or a delete query. Those have to be reformatted for T-SQL. Yep. Here we got a very complex access query.
Right. So this should convert over. And it formats it as well.
So what does that mean, formatted,
pick out. There's just so much going on with this tool. You can see it did all the ampersands to pluses. It's smart enough to know when you mean a star for. See, that is not part of a like. That's just appending a star to a value. And it didn't convert that into a % sign on the other side. And if I can find it, that is right there. The same code there.
Nice. Nice. Very nice. So once the query is converted, Ben, how would they copy that to T-SQL so they can for example, go to SQL Server Management Studio, plug it in?
I just hit this button here, copy. Now it's in your clipboard, and you can open up your favorite text editor and paste it in, or go into T-SQL right here and make a new query, and just paste it in there.
Nice. I keep saying nice. I got to stop using that word, but it's just amazing the work that it's going to save a lot of people worldwide with this tool. Now, let's go back to the tool. Now, what is that VBA tab at the very top? I see VBA tab on both left and right.
Now, let me take a simpler query and show you what that'll do. Trying to find a shorter query. Okay, well, I had a bunch of test queries here. If I had a query like this, and that's in the way, and I want to now put this into my code, I can hit this button here, and it's going to convert this into a string. And I'm sure you've had to do this before. So now you can just copy and paste this, put it right in your code. If you've got a variable or something like that that you need to plug in there, maybe you'd put in your variable name here. But it'll give you nice, pretty code right without any effort. If you want this code to print out nice, maybe you've got some debug print statements, you can also tell it to generate carriage returns at the end of each line. So it'll output and it'll look just like this structure. And likewise, if you just want to use this tool to take an Access SQL statement and convert it to VBA, you get the same feature on this side. So with and without the carriage returns.
Nice there, but basically, I can't tell you how many hours I spent on a project taking SQL code, either Access query and putting my plug in my code or T-SQL query and using my VBA with ADODB. And, you know, it's very frustrating, and you have to go to the end of the line, add a space, and then double quote, and then put an ampersand, and then a quotation character. You know, it just takes a few minutes for every query, especially for the more complex one. And so this is going to save everyone a ton of time to be able to do that. So not only are you getting a system that converts your Access query to T-SQL, but it also converts from your Access query to code, so then you can copy it and plug it into your code. Now, for those of you who have never done this, if you were to take this Access query as it is and paste it to a VBA module, it will give you an error message. It'll turn red, and it'll give you an error message. So let's show how it looks when you try to just take a regular query, copy that into a VBA module. For those of the people in the audience who haven't done that before.
Okay, let me make a new module. Yeah, it's giving me errors because I have it loaded in another app. Let me get it back here. New module. There we go. So if I just pasted that there, then you've got the task of trying to then, you know, maybe put symbols at the beginning of each line, and you know, it's tedious to do that, to fix it. So you'd have to do this and that. You'd have to put that at the end of each line to make it so that you could turn it into code. If you get the idea here.
Nice. So let's go ahead and erase that, and then copy the one that is converted, and see if we get any red text.
I'll just take this here.
Conversion.
Oops. And I'll just hit
hit
the
the copy button, I think.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. And I'll just paste that in. So no effort required there.
No red. Oh, well, we're already getting some people in the comments saying that's going to save a ton of time. Thank you, Lori, for the feedback. Also, David, appreciate that. David says, I can't get rid of those ambiguous outer joins. Can you explain a little bit more what you mean by that, David? David Brits?
Well, yeah, I think I might have misunderstood. Yeah, you're placing, because I think he's placing this into maybe I should ask her, is this mainly for copying into VBA or into SQL Server? Because I'm assuming Access won't take this code that's being copied.
The VBA tab it formats it as VBA.
Okay, yeah, I mean, because we get the ambiguous outer join is what we always get. Like I always end up having to move the query into an SQL Server view, because you mix up inner joins and outer joins in an Access query in the query builder, and it just goes nuts. Whereas, in SQL Server and TSQL, you could have this A inner join B, inner join C, left join D, and it seems to have no problem. Whereas Access is very finicky about that.
Right, we're not correcting the SQL. We're making the SQL so it still works. We're not optimizing it. I wish we could get rid of all the extra parentheses that Access puts in, but we're not doing that. I haven't gotten that far yet. I did figure out how to do an update statement, because an update statement's tricky because it's got a different structure. Let me see where that is.
And by the way, this does so much more. After we do the update statement, we're going to show you an example of how it swaps in functions, right? So, for example, you might have a function in Access that's not available in SQL Server. Well, it will take and convert it to the equivalent SQL Server version. We're going to do that next. We need to talk about these versions, by the way. that he just selected. Go ahead and talk about that, Ben. That version.
So the versions here, there's certain functions. An example would be trim. Trim didn't exist until SQL Server 2017. So prior to that, you had to convert trim to L trim, R trim, like left trim and right trim combined together. So if you had a trim, well, this isn't a good example, but you know, if I had trim first name here and I'm doing 2016, when it converts it, it's going to say L trim, R trim. See that there? But if I had Access 2017, it's just going to leave it alone and let it be
SQL
trim.
Server 2017. Yeah, SQL Server 2017. Yeah, it'll just be trim.
Right.
All right. So update statements are a little bit tricky, like I mentioned in the beginning, because it's not very easy to translate it over. As you can see, the system took the update statement and formatted it and put it in the manner that SQL Server will be able to understand it.
And Access update statement does not have a from. And so I had to interpolate and figure out, because in Access, an update statement can only update one table. And it can only be joined with one unless you have some other types of joins. But in SQL Server, you can join multiple tables, but you have to specify which one's getting updated out of the many right there at that point. So I'm able to extract that and create the from statement for that. Some of the conversions, other conversions it does, as you can see here, we have a CHR, but in T-SQL that's CHAR. A replace in does this one have the attributes in the wrong? No, this replace is the same. Replace is pretty straightforward. It's in string, which is different. In string will help you find a string within another string. And the very first parameter is an optional parameter, which is odd to have an optional parameter at the beginning. But if it's an integer, if it's numeric, I should say, that means it's the first parameter. Otherwise, it assumes the first parameter is a string. That converts to, in T-SQL, a char index. The very similar command, except the parameters are in a different order. So I had to figure out how to swap the order of the parameters to make a compatible function call.
We're going to be diving into that shortly here in the presentation if we got time, because it's really fascinating the technology you use to do that and still maintain a simple to use admin section for the tool. All right. So as you can see, it not only does take care of the formatting, the correct formatting of the statement, but it also takes care of the functions that you use in Access. Now, what would happen, Ben, if you had a custom function in your SQL query? How would it take? What would happen there?
So there's a custom function call for, it's an access function that I use, and it just leaves it alone. It doesn't recognize it as anything. So, you know, you're kind of on your own. You gotta still read the code after it does it. It's gonna do the heavy part for you, the tedious part, the part where you often make typos and you can't find that missing quote. But no, I'm sorry, I can't get you past something like that. Also, if you have a reference to a form in your code, it doesn't pull that out. We do have a plan to add warnings so that if it detects certain things that you can recognize, like a reference to a form, I can give you a warning and tell you that, hey, this code, this output now has to be, you know, edited because of this type of situation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ben. That's good. So we have a question here from Lori. Does this just run in a separate app, or is there a way to run this within MS Access? That's a great question, Lori. No, this is a web page that you use. There is no Access plugin, if you will. The problem with Access plugins that I found, and Ben sees this all the time because he uses a ton of plugins in his setup, is every time there's an update to Access, you have to reinstall them. So it's just a pain to use plugins with Access right now. It's just but here you can run this app. Now, sometimes what will happen is I'll be at a client back when I used to visit clients for the pandemic, and I didn't have my tools with me, and instead of remoting into my lab PC, I can now go into this web tool and do the conversions without having to do that. But that's a good question, Larry. No, this has to be a web page. And by the way, the link, if you notice at the very top, it's AccessUserGroups.org/SQL Converter. So I'm going to copy that for you guys there. Unless, Ben, you can do it for me, copy it to the comments, but I'll do that as well.
Yeah, I don't have the comments
so
open.
Guys, all right, let me go ahead and do that for you now. So it's Access User Groups. So this is live right now. You guys can all go in there right now, usergroups.org/SQL-Converter. So you guys are going to go in mass right now and bring it up. And one thing you'll notice that when you bring it up, it's in light mode. Can you switch to light mode so you can see the difference between dark and light mode?
Sure.
This is what they normally see, the white mode. And something that we want you guys to do is we want you to test the hell out of this, right? Because it's in beta, and we're hoping that you guys can provide us with some awesome feedback. And we provided with a leave feedback button that we just finished today. So, Ben, if you can click on that for me, let's show them how that works. So you click on leave feedback, you can leave your name and last name, email address is optional. But what happens here is that they'll actually copy your Access query and your T-SQL query in the background, and that way the team, such as Ben and other members of the team, can analyze and make the tool better, we're hoping. So it's just a great way for you guys to leave us feedback doing that. You don't have to copy the queries because it's already being copied for you when you do that.
Will it be? Okay.
Yes, yeah, you don't have to worry about copying. Just leave us the comment as to what the issue you're finding. It doesn't convert this function well, or maybe you have an idea that you want to leave. And so it's just going to provide us some great feedback here. All right. So did that link work for you guys? Did I type that right in the comments there? AccessUserGroups.org/SQL Converter. Somebody confirm that for me. All right, Laurie confirmed it. Thank you, sir. The first one to confirm. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right. So before we move on to the Atmos section, I want to open up the questions. What do you guys think of this so far? What do you guys see the value of this? Is this something you've been waiting for all your life? I'd like to know that too. I know I have. Any questions or comments so far?
That's probably not T-SQL. That's not T-SQL. Let me find some more examples.
Lori's been enthusiastic. Yeah, it'd be great if we can find some more comments. But Lori's got some really enthusiastic. Looks like we made Lori's night. So thank you, Lori, for the feedback. Hey, Peter, what do you think of the tool so far?
It's
Peter
cool.
Doring is an Access MVP.
It's a cool
us.
tool. Let me see whether I can get my camera on. I can't, I think. Yeah, I saw on the VBA part, I saw that the generated code had a space missing between the last field and the from clause. Just as a heads up.
Okay. So on the last field, the from clause, it's missing the space. All right.
I got to put a better sample query in there. Let's put this one in there.
All right, so someone, Lori wants to know, is this going to be a commercial product or is it going to be free to use? This is going to be free to use. This is our way, AccessUserGroups.org. The whole reason is, IT Impact, which the company I own, we financed this. We actually hired a programmer to do this. And the whole reason with this is to increase traffic to AccessUserGroups.org, increase awareness to the organization, have more people come to our meetings, hopefully get more groups signed up around the world. So this is something we need you guys help promoting. I need you to blog about this, tweet about it, mention on LinkedIn, and help us promote the word out there that this is now a tool that all Access developers can use worldwide for free at AccessUserGroups.org. Now, Peter, do you have a tool already that converted to VBA so that you can paste into your code, or you're doing it manually before?
The tool consists of 10 fingers on my left and right hand.
Okay, so that's going to save you a lot of time, right? The conversion VBA
oh, it does. It does, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This is supposed to convert those double single quotes. We're going to work the bugs out of this.
All right. So David, which I don't know his last name, but David also left us some feedback here, is a SQL DBA, and I was talking to David before the meeting started, and he says he often goes, even though he's a SQL DBA, he often uses Access to fire up some quick queries, so he's going to be using this often. So thank you, David, for the feedback. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that's going to help everyone. Please keep in mind the version, SQL Server version, like Ben was mentioning, right? To you, it defaults to 2012, but if you have a more recent version, I like to get clients started on 2019. So I'll be picking the version that's most compatible with 2019 when I do this. But keep that present that when you convert this over, you're picking the right SQL Server version. Now, Ben, he's been pushing this hard because he's got some great ideas regarding this tool. And one of them was to be able to use Poorman SQL, I believe it's called, right, Ben, into the tool?
I'm sorry, I got interrupted. Can you say that again?
You originally we talked about using Poorman SQL, I believe, and the tool, and we never got around to it so far. But
yeah,
can you demonstrate what Poorman SQL is? Yeah,
Poorman SQL will take messy SQL that you might pull right out of. Let's show you here. Right out of right out of your code or right out of a query. You got a query like this. The first thing you're trying to do is figure out where things are. Poorman SQL Formatter is a plugin for Notepad. There's also a website version, and it structures your code like that. So we want to integrate that into the site because sometimes you get a query like this, and first thing is your eyes just kind of spin around. But Poorman SQL, I don't like the way it indents the from statements, but that's probably because Access puts all those parentheses in there. I've also written my own auto hotkey that formats it like that. It doesn't handle things like nested selects, which is what Poorman SQL is good at. But I'm trying to integrate this style of formatting into this tool. We may talk about doing some formatting on the left side too, because as you can see, I paste something in there. It's hard to compare side by side if it doesn't have the wrapping.
So we incorporated Poorman SQL technology into a tool, but there's another one also that we're not able to incorporate that allow you to do different things. I can't remember the website right now that we were thinking about using, Ben.
Well, I think that was Poor SQL here.
Oh, okay.
So we were going to make it so you can at least come here and hit copy and get the SQL that it generates, and then paste it over here, and then tell Poorman SQL to format it for you. But we couldn't figure that integration out. They kind of put that on hold. But while we were waiting, I got frustrated because I need my code to be formatted. So I wrote some routines that handle some of the keywords and put carriage returns and tabs in front of them.
Nice, really nice. All right, so Tom Wickerrath has a question. I personally like to get rid of the word inner in T-SQL joins. For example, going from inner join to just join. Can the tool be set to optionally allow removing keywords that are not strictly needed?
It can be configured to do that. I'm trying to think of how to make that a rule that works for some people and not for other people. I mean, it's essentially a find and replace. That's what actually a lot of this is just knowing the order to run them and what to look for. Yeah, I could do that. I could do that as a overall change, but I don't know. I'd have to think of the pros and cons of doing it that way.
Okay. So Tom, go ahead and leave us feedback on the website. That's a good suggestion. So we might debate adding that in a later time. So thank you for that. Lori, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I know it's different times here, so have a nice dinner with your family there. But appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. This is a wonderful product. Really excited. Bye, everybody.
All right. Good.
Ben,
You bet.
Ben,
Bye-bye.
this is Susan. Hello, can you hear me?
Susan, it's 4 in the morning where you're at right now.
Something like that. Yeah, I've got matchsticks holding my eyes open. About that, you know about the option to remove like keywords? If it's just like a join and replace table, what if we added something like another column with the options with the keywords replaced and then have some kind of checkbox? Which of the columns you use for the replace? Would that work?
Well, we'd have to change the user interface so the user can pick. Right now, they get to pick this, and we could add, and I was testing with one there, that I probably should take out of there, but we could add a one here that says Tom's favorite, you know, and it only runs the things that Tom wants to see.
Right.
But, you know, we can't do that for everybody, so.
No, that's true. Yeah.
You know, I had thought about maybe having a second tier run. So it runs one, and then you can click another one to do some formatting or to do some additional steps. And that way the user gets to evaluate it before they take the output and take it somewhere else. By the way, we're not logging any of the queries you put in here. Nothing is saved. We're not going to try to steal any of your information.
That's a good point.
So,
all right. Any other questions? Thank you, Susan, by the way, for your question. That was very nice of you. Susan's hail is from the United Kingdom, so we appreciate her staying up. Got a lot of people from Europe on this call tonight. Any other questions before we move on to the background, the admin section? All right. So let's go ahead and give them a peek to the admin section so people can see that.
was there another question?
Using these rules. Yeah, the admin section that was using the rules to convert.
So this is a WordPress page where we've integrated the rules for our tool. There's a tab here where we can list the SQL Server versions. We could put whatever we want to in there. We could make it Tom's favorites if we wanted to. We do have a set up here for some warnings. We haven't developed that feature yet, or tested it, I'll say. But the conversions are here, and there's a long list of conversions. I think there's 69 or 70 conversions now that it's running. And for every conversion, I'll go back to the top here, we pick what versions it runs on. So this should have taken away that option there. Did it right before the meeting started, but no, it's still lingering. I think I have to untick it. So we have some conversions that are here. We have 4 types of conversions. A built-in conversion is calling a function that we wrote. So those are the 3 ones that we did. Those can probably, well, the update query one, that does take some special logic to get that to work. The other ones, I probably could now implement them using one of the other methods. A direct conversion is just a find and replace. So this one here was added today, and that's the left smart quote, and it just changes it to a regular quote. The next one is a right smart quote, and it converts it to a regular quote. And that has to happen at the beginning because you want all of your double quotes to be converted to single quotes if they're not inside quotes already. So I got that at the top. It handles the update query change right at the top. I don't really want to go through all these, but I want to talk to you about each one of the types. So regular expressions is a really powerful way to write what looks like some cryptic syntax, and this is going to find all the isNull VBA function calls and convert them to whatever was in the parentheses isNull. So that's what this is telling it to do. I document this myself so that, well, if you guys say, hey, there's a bug and it doesn't work, I can go to a regular expression website, and this is how I tested it. So I told it, if you've got a field there, you want that output to be the field, is null. Because is null,
go ahead.
Is null is a T-SQL command, but it does something different. It's more akin to the NZ that we use in VBA.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this up because this website, Regular Expression, tell us a little bit more about how this is critical to the effort that we did, this Regular Expression website. What is Regular Expression website? Right, what is
Regular Expression goes back probably to the 1960s or earlier. They came up with this syntax. I mean, there's lots of examples over here for converting text, managing text. You know, you can find the third position of a certain word. You can look for just white space, like a carriage return, a tab, a space. I think it's a good skill for Access developers to have. A lot of tools like Notepad++ in the find and replace, it does support regular expressions. So I can do some fancy, I can use some of those same techniques in there. A lot of places use regular expressions. There's different.
And so what the website is doing is calling regular expressions website to get the feedback from it, right? And you're incorporating that into the tool, right?
Yeah, our website's using PHP, so I've got the PHP variant flavor selected here, and our website will pass this to the regex engine for PHP and pass this as the replacement parameter, and then it just converts to SQL based on those rules.
So the nice thing about that is we didn't have to come up with programming to do it our own. We can just pass that to the API at regex and have it take care of it for us, right?
Right. And if there's a new keyword that we need to handle, I don't have to reprogram anything. This is like my rules engine right here.
Yeah, so this was, when Aaron did this originally, this was all VBA and
Right.
some tables in the background. And so Aaron did a bang-up job of coming up with the concept, and then Ben helped him elaborate even further. But now we don't have, obviously, VBA because this is WordPress is built on PHP. And so our PHP developer looked at our VBA code and translated it over to PHP, if you will, in terms of these rules and regular expression. It was just a great all-around teamwork effort. We have a question here from Mark Edwards. He wants to know how is it going to handle parameter pop-ups and access queries. You know those questions that come up where it says start date, when you put start date in brackets?
Right. It doesn't handle that right now. I don't know how you'd handle that in T-SQL anyway.
So right now, Mark, what it does is just copies it over to T-SQL, and when you paste it into SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, when you paste it there, it'll probably just give you an error message. We one of the variants in Aaron's code and Ben's code was it actually the original access code would actually give you warnings on that stuff. We decided not to do that in this version, or we didn't have enough time to get it done. But we might be able to warn you in the future, hopefully, and that kind of stuff. That saying, okay, these are things that we could not convert for you.
Yeah, like this one doesn't actually have parameters. You'd probably have it like this. I forget the syntax. I could probably make a warning that if I see the parameter statement, that when you convert, that it tells you about that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of queries that have that whenever I convert an application from an Access to a SQL Server. And I have to move stuff to views. I've got to go through all that stuff manually.
Yeah. Yeah, here's one here. Yeah, so this is what the output would be. And by the way, you guys might have noticed this. It's for some reason, it's not catching the where statement. And I got to talk to Juan about that after the meeting. It was working fine, and then it just stopped. I don't know if someone else needs to hit the save button and see what happens, but
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, the tool is not perfect. That's why we're enlisting your help to do that. I know it's going to save you a ton of time with converting to VBA especially, but That's pretty much it. We wanted to, we've been testing this like crazy. Mostly Ben has been testing it like crazy, and I felt that we needed to engage the community now of you guys to help us test it, and it looks like you guys will be doing that, and we appreciate that. So please leave the feedback and any questions or comments before we go, for Ben or Aaron or for me. All right, so I'd like to wrap up the meeting with some Access news. I don't know if you guys seen the latest Access roadmap. It's changed a little bit, so let me bring it up on my end. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, Microsoft, Access. What is the important point I need you guys to know about? You know, as an Access MVP, I'm privy to some confidential information, which I obviously cannot share here, but this stuff is already published, and I can go ahead and share that with you. And let's see if I can see that here. Give me a second. I want to share my first. Share my screen. Okay.
Do I need to stop sharing?
Yeah, go ahead and stop sharing. And I found the page in question. I'm going to paste it in the comments. This website, you may want to bookmark it. It does tell you. The latest and greatest from Aaron Access. Let me share my screen now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I pasted so the biggest development that we have changed for 2021. I'm hoping that Ebo, the Access Program Manager, will join us next month on this to talk more about this, is the Access Dataverse connector. Now, Dataverse is the new name that Microsoft Marketing, I can't say enough about Microsoft Marketing and their wisdom when it comes to changing marketing terms on me. But this used to be Universal Data Connector. What is it? It used to be, Dataverse used to be called, just last month, it used to be called the Common Data Model, Common Data Service. Now it's called Dataverse. So new name, different, same concept. But what happened is last month they rolled out, Microsoft did, Power Apps for Teams. And now that's allowed us, including my firm, we leverage that a lot, to create applets, if you will, inside Teams. And that data is stored in Dataverse. Well, the Access team is now working to connect to that. So now you can create rich applications where you may have, for example, a factory worker with a tablet and an iPad using a Teams Power App to collect data in a simple data collection form, and then that's posted to Dataverse, and then you can create an Access application that reads that data and provide rich reports, do analysis, do more edits to the data, all kinds of good stuff. So I think this is a great development for Access. I think it's going to be extremely helpful for us Access developers to create rich solutions. Unfortunately, it's setting back some other stuff. If you go through this list, you notice that there's some things that are still in development, like the Monaco editor. I wish we would have had that before the Dataverse. It still says July 2021, so I'm hoping that they'll still do that. This is rolling out. This is rolling out. And then we got enable large address aware for 32-bit access. Boy, that's going to be, it's going to help a lot of people with that. This is something where you can use 4 gigs of memory instead of 2 gigs, so that'll solve some of the pain people are getting with out-of-memory errors and access. Of course, the ultimate solution to that is to convert your application 64-bit. There's modern web browser control. I'm looking really forward to that. It's using Chromium Edge. Right now, the web browser control inside Access is the old Internet Explorer. With the new web browser control, you can be able to launch, you can be able to incorporate WebEx within your Access applications. That's really neat. And then the Microsoft Graph Connector, I can't tell you how powerful this technology is. I've seen it firsthand in demos every time I visited Microsoft. This is really going to help us a lot when it comes to being able to, the example I always provide is, you know how you use APIs and Access to find out if the user is a member of a certain group in Active Directory, right? That's how I configure my SQL, my security levels in my Access applications is I integrate with Active Directory, and I used Active Directory to assign users privileges based on what groups they're in. Well, I have to use APIs for all that stuff. And then after looping with this graph data connector is a table. I queried the data Active Directory. It comes back as a table, and it's super easy to traverse that to see who's in what. And there's no more API, and so much quicker. It's just going to be a real game changer for us. So looking forward to that. So those are news there in terms of Access. Next month, join us when we are going to be hopefully have a special guest also. Hopefully we can book him to come out and talk more about this Dataverse. So on Thursday, I'll be actually launching the first ever Access with SQL Server Academy in Spanish and Access Latino. So we'll search for Access Latino America on AccessUserGroups.org. And if you know of anybody who's in Latin America and be able to invite them, that'd be great, which would be 6:30 Central Time. So if you want to hear all my Access tips to SQL Server in Spanish, you're welcome to join me this Thursday. And finally, if you love what you heard tonight and you like what you see, please publish about it, blog about it, tweet about it, and let everybody know. It's going to help us tremendously. And when it comes to getting the word out to use this tool, the more people who use it, the better it's going to get. It's just the reality of it. All right, so unless there's any more comments or questions, we'll leave it right here. Ben, Aaron, thank you so much, guys. You guys are heroes to me and allowing me to be able to bring this and help to the community at large. So thank you so much. There's a little thank you note at the bottom of the page. Aaron, after you go ahead and go to that page, you'll see at the bottom, give you a shout out. Appreciate it. Ben, it's been a pleasure working with you on this tool. I know you've been passionate about it, bringing it to life, and I couldn't do this without you, brother.
I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you.
All right, so long, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again here next month, the second Tuesday every month. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.